Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes Dr. Foster of Illinois, who's the ranking member of our Financial Institutions Subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and our witness. I presume that you've been encouraged to use artificial intelligence in all of your workings from the White House. It was a general directive, and obviously industry is moving very fast that way. Now, in terms of the 1,000-page prop that you have there, how long do you think it would take AI to summarize that as in one paragraph, 1 page, 10 pages, whatever level of detail you wanted? Maybe a few seconds, I don't know. Probably neither of us are an expert on that, but I imagine it could be done in a few minutes. And so that in terms of a burden on investors, it seems like having a lot of information there is not a burden on investors in an AI world. And so I think that's an important thing that should go into your thinking as to what the appropriate level of disclosure. Materiality, I believe, is best that the investor is the best judge of materiality. And if we err on the side of having a lot of probably 95% of what's in that stack of paper is not material, but there could be a footnote in there that is absolutely crucial. No human is likely to pick it up, as you point out. No human's going to read that stack of paper, but an AI can and find that footnote. And so it seems like the whole narrative of let's get to less disclosure is going in the wrong direction for an AI world. I imagine that stack of paper is probably 90% generated by AI, or soon will be if it's not. And so that I think that it's a much better position if we have, the AIs, for IPOs and things like that, generate a lot of information and then let the AIs of potential investors look at it, in great detail. That you'll end up with a more efficient market and less mistakes being made by investors due to lack of information. So have you been thinking about that sort of thing when you puzzle through the whole what's the right level of information?
Oh, absolutely. But again, there's when you think of the costs and the amount of work that goes into this sort of disclosure with the lawyers and everything else, what sort of bang for the buck are we getting? But anyway, and
but of course, the cost of lawyers is going to get crushed too with AI. Most companies have everything electronically. They just turn their AI loose on that and generate. It's coming at us fast.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Yeah. Anyway, so I really encourage you to think about that, because I think that's going to be a much safer market where there's a lot of information, and that each investor or the investor's personal AI advisor will have access to that information, but summarize it. Just in the case of climate, a lot of investors are going to think climate's material, others will think it's immaterial, and we're in a better position if it is the potential investor talking to their AI advisor saying, I do or I don't care about climate, and then getting a summary that reflects their preferences. It seems like that gets us to a better place than just these endless wars we have about what is and isn't material at the level of Congress. Okay. Let's see, one of the things I've also been worried about is the orderly release of market-moving information by federal officials, and agencies. There have been some big mistakes. There was an issue where I think the BLS issued or leaked some information, and like order of half an hour early to some lucky participants in the market. And it seems like for a long time we've needed a more orderly way of releasing that information that maybe could be government-wide, so that when whether it's Federal Reserve releasing information or the BLS or something, that you had a standard electronic way of saying, boom, here the gate is now open and that information's there, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong. Is there any interagency discussion of that, trying to standardize the release of market-moving information and maybe make it more robust?
No, that's a very important issue, and it's a little bit ad hoc now. For example, the Food and Drug Administration, the director has come to talk to me about it, and so that's a great example. You mentioned some of the other agencies and the Fed and whatnot, so it's a very important issue, and we have to, each agency needs to be very.
Yeah. So if you need a nudge from this committee, I think this is a very useful nudge that we could do that would actually, make the markets work better and make U.S. a better place to invest. Yeah, a third area of concern that I don't have really a lot of time to go into is the use by federal officials of privately owned social media accounts to release market-moving information like tariff policy, things like that, that move markets by trillions and effectively forcing every person
Gentleman's time has
in the
expired.
market to buy that.
Invite the witness to provide his comments on that last question in writing.